Spock said that?
What is this? Crying. If I want anything from you, I'll ask for it.
Captain, I should like to request a leave of absence on my home planet.
Hello everyone, I'm Johnny Johnson, and today we're taking a look at a most classic of classic Trek episodes, which is Amok Time. An episode that will cement Vulcans as one of the most interesting species in science fiction history. So let's take a look. The episode starts off with Kirk emerging from a not very safe looking ladderway. I've forgotten about many of these old Trek details, and they give Star Trekking a more pioneering, adventurous feel. If you stare too long at a passing miniskirt, you could fall down this shaft and die, never mind the Klingons. Anyway, the episode is the first of Season 2, the characters are well defined, and established bonds have been formed among the crew members. This episode will solidify the great trust that is formed between Kirk and Spock and even McCoy. Spock, our master stoic, legend of logic, is tested to the extreme in this episode, and we discover Vulcans who pride themselves on civility are, at least for a time, anything but. Pon farr, it's the intense, ritualistic, barbaric, emotionally driven event that takes place for a Vulcan once every 7 years. At this time, the drive for a Vulcan to mate outweighs all other motivations or reason. It's such a powerful drive that Vulcans can become violent and deranged if inhibited in this undertaking. In fact, a Vulcan can literally die of a chemical imbalance should they not be able to fulfill their needs. The Vulcans themselves find the mating drive and all its associated emotions and practices disturbing, and it's an extremely private and shrouded event amongst their people. Few outsiders know anything about it. Spock is even unable to tell the captain or Dr. McCoy about his needs at first, only that he must be taken to Vulcan as soon as possible. I do appreciate how at many times during the episode the weight of the trust between Spock and Kirk is ever present. Kirk wants more information from Spock, but at the same time trusts him completely, enough to entertain diverting the Enterprise just on Spock's word. Eventually, Kirk and McCoy uncover Spock's medical distress, and Spock confides in the two. Spock goes one step further in one of several touching moments in the episode to request they join him in the ritual as his closest and most supportive friends. One entertaining moment in the episode before beaming down to Vulcan, Spock does engage with his arranged wife and to-be mating partner to Pring on the view screen, sharing an intense conversation for the bridge crew to enjoy. So much for secrecy. Spock beams down to Vulcan with McCoy and Kirk, big props for the creative setting here. The build-up to the ceremony, the characters, the costumes, the gongs and bells, it's all 60s sci-fi joy. The character of T'Pau really makes the ceremony even more interesting, with her stern, regal presence. Her Austrian Vulcan accent makes her all the more curious.
Spock? Are our ceremonies for outworlders?
The story culminates in one of the most famous sci-fi fights in sci-fi history between Kirk and Spock. I remember seeing this fight many times in clips before actually watching the full episode, assuming it would be brought about by silliness. But the writing is pleasantly clever, both in its coming about and resolution, with all the characters' motivations well explained. In fact, the whole episode gets major credit for what is often a visually silly episode being well thought out. Even the Lypra weapons themselves are no more silly than some of our own earthly, ritualistic weapons. Themes in the episode aren't fully explored but are present. Vulcans being a paradoxical civilization and species will be explored in greater detail throughout the franchise. This is actually done best in Star Trek Enterprise. But I've always appreciated how the Vulcan race represents an imbalance, a state of oppressed emotion. Though Vulcans are, of course, a different species, they do act as a sort of foil and warning of the oppression of our own human emotions, that such a life, or even culture, can manifest madness, such as the ritual presented in this episode. It's a great episode, and you will really understand this in the last minute when Spock finds Kirk alive and well. It's a cute scene, sure, but I think most of us who have watched this episode in full had a giant smile on our faces for this scene, and then realized how much these characters have grown on each other, and us too, of course. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching. Do like, subscribe, and comment, and all that. But most importantly, do take care. Have a nice rest of your day.